And of course, after the elections, I believe that you will be a busy person then. We might be having an opportunity even to come here. But we are going to look into the dailies this morning. And let's begin with what is written in the People Daily, the cover page. Kalonzo back, Raila wins big. Of course, this is going to make part of our it's going to make part of our conversation this morning. The People Daily, Kalonzo back, Raila wins big. Assure you. What's your take on that? Raila back again in Azimio. Allow me to use again because he's been back. He's neither here nor there. But finally, Kalonzo is back with Raila.
Yeah, like has been highlighted in the People Daily. That is very true. It's a big win. It's a big win for the Azimio team. In politics, and like we've always said in this studio, that elections is all about numbers. So if someone would bring to your fold even 10,000 votes, that is a number that you can't underestimate. Because remember, you are getting 10,000 votes and your opponent is not getting those 10,000 votes. So whether it is 10,000 votes, and we know that with the coming in of His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, he comes in with more than 1 million votes, or 1 million followers, or 1 million people who believe in his cause, or 1 million people who come from his backyard. So the more than 1 million or almost 2 million persons who believe in Kalonzo's cause, and that we have a presumption. There's that presumption that he's coming in with the people. Yeah. That automatically, if he was to join Azimio and join the other team, then automatically the people who believe in him will come with those votes. Yeah. So if it is 1 million, then it's a big win for him. 1 million votes is not a small number.
It's not a small number. Of course, we are going to delve deeper into that later in our conversation this morning. But we want to look at what the Nation, the Daily Nation, has a big headline again about the same, the deal Kalonzo brokered. When Kamau, I mean, we know that Kalonzo, in the first time he was given or promised the chief minister position before he decided that he was going to go alone with Andrew Sunkoli, of course, but he's come back with a big deal, if we might call it, bigger than the first one. Okay. What do you think of that?
Yeah, just like my brother said here, Kalonzo coming back to Azimio is such a big profit to Azimio as a team. He has a number. But this time around, like I said before, for me, I don't think it's not news. Because like we said, he never said that he left. So he's just coming back to where he belongs. And I believe Baba right now has a good number. He stands a chance having that side of Kambani back to him.
Of course, we are going also to talk deeper and even more deeply about that. But, you can also, we would like to engage you on our socials, Kirk TV Kenya, on both Facebook and Twitter, and again, as well as on our SMS number 011 0044. You can reach us on that and we'll be able to sample your views during our conversations. Also, the Standard has also brought out that clearly the deal Kalonzo could not resist. Wiper leader back to Azimio after successful negotiations for more slots in government to go with position of chief minister and development projects for his regions in what allies say is a big win. Of course, that is more on Kalonzo and him coming back to Azimio. But there is also a story in the Standard, this is page 5 of the Standard. IBC allays concerns over credibility of voter register. We know that the voter verification, the voter register verification is going on, could be done around next week or so. And already some jitters around it. The deputy president yesterday is saying around 1 million or so votes or voters from his stronghold are not in the register, Banabiko.
See, the success of an election is only as good as how prepared the body that is tasked with carrying out that election according to how prepared it is. And it's not just about preparation. It's also about the credibility and the belief by the aspirants that the results that will be generated thereafter would be credible, will be verifiable, would be believable. You remember one of the things that or one of the reasons for why the 2017 elections were nullified by the Supreme Court were because one of the things that came out. You remember when ODM rushed to the Supreme Court and they were telling the IEBC to open the servers, and the IEBC never opened the servers. And the reason for why ODM was requesting that the servers be opened was so that they can verify that the numbers as announced are the same as the numbers as that were captured.
Captured, yeah.
That were captured in those in the IEBC servers.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if a party or if someone would come out as early as right now, and then they are saying that, hey, look here, the persons that we have tasked with preparing for these elections or taking us through this process that is the election, either there is interference with the systems, or there is perceived interference with the systems, then it talks to the credibility of that process. Because if the systems are interfered with right now, then we can't with certainty say that the process that we are going to engage in is a process that is going to give us results that are verifiable, or that we can that has credibility. So it's a very big concern, and especially, and not just on the part of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. It should be a concern to all Kenyans. Because if we as Kenyans are going to engage in an exercise that we are not sure about, then it is something that can lead to chaos, it is something that can lead to anarchy, and it is something that then this government ought to take very seriously. Not just the Kenya Kwanza Alliance team, not just the Azimio team, but all Kenyans must be very concerned that we already have issues with the credibility of the process that we are going to engage in as a country. Yes.
Of course, that is also going to make part of our conversation this morning, but it's also written in page 6 of the Standard, Integrity Crisis. EACC has its work cut out to clear backlog of cases. But most importantly, I want us to have a look a little bit on a story that has made headlines, especially for the last 2 days, about the integrity of 241 or so aspirants that the EACC has put out and said these are not worthy to be elected. Is it an issue that you think has come a little bit too late into the elections, Kamau?
No, I don't think it's too late. But first of all, I think with the EACC, they have been given that mandate, to verify and maybe to blow that whistle to those people that are not, the people with integrity issues. So I think for me, IBC should also be given another task. Instead of just being the whistleblower, they should be given another task of like they can be given that authority or maybe power to arrest these people. Because if they keep on, saying that this and so is not eligible to vie for a certain seat, then from there, the issue of those people, they are brought from EACC to the, I think to the judiciary or something. That's where they end up like, you see, their issue from the EACC to the IBC. Both of them, they don't have that power, like to stop them. So I think so much should be done with the EACC. They should be given much power so that by the time they are raising issues about credibility, they also be given opportunity to arrest and maybe put these people where they're supposed to be.
Of course, that's just a part of what is written in the dailies, just top stories. If you want to read more, just grab your copy of the dailies. And of course, you're going to get more and even more deeper news about the same. That is all about our newspaper review segment this morning. Yes, remember that you can engage with us on our SMS number 01122220044. Again, you can reach us on our socials, Kirk TV Kenya, on both Twitter and Facebook, and we'll be able to sample your views at the tail end, or even as we go on with the conversation this morning. But I want us now to look at, Uhuru's end of term scorecard. It is Uhuru's last Madaraka that he did 2 days ago on 1st of June. And he said a lot of things. And one of them is on his, scorecard, his projects and all that. The way he's delivered on the project that he had promised, or they had promised in 2017. First of all, can you have a clip on what he says on roads, especially?
Was that the bar set by my predecessor, the late President Mwai Kibaki, was a high one. To face this challenge, we had to first embrace what previous administrations had done and accelerate their achievements. That was part of the big push. Today, I am proud to record that if the third Kenyan administration built 2,000 kilometers of tarmac road, we accelerated this achievement by building over 11,000 kilometers, which is close to 6 times what they built. In fact, truth be said, we have built more roads in 9 years than what all previous administrations combined, including the British, built in 123 years. Wapende wasipende, hiyo ndio ukweli wa mambo.
Wapende wasipende, huo ndio ukweli wa mambo. That's what the president said. And he also said something that people said, people don't eat roads, people don't eat railways, but that is what we've done for our people. I want to take this opportunity to invite, to welcome in studio one Mr. Robert. Is it Mr. Robert Nderango, an MCA aspirant for Kalimoni Ward from Juja constituency. Karibu sana. Karibu sana. And we will join even as we talk about what the president has done. What do you take of the president's last Madaraka speech, Mr. Biko?
Basically, what because this is the last. I would want to presume this is the last major state function that the president is presiding over, and much as he said, his speech was fairly balanced. Because ordinarily, then, if you asked me, I would have expected that the president, and which of course he did, was for him to take us to what is this that he's done to Kenyans, that then even as he exits the scene, people will remember him for. Because you see, remember, there is so much that government does for its people. And sometimes, unless the leaders come out and highlight those things that people have, that they have done for the people, then sometimes there is a presumption that not so much has been done by that particular government. Yeah. So basically, and that is what President Uhuru did during the Madaraka speech. He basically just highlighted, we've constructed roads, we've done 11,000 kilometers of roads. Whatever we've done within the last 9 years is more than what the 3 previous administrations have done. So basically, he was just highlighting what his administration or what his government has done for the last 9 years that they've been in power, which to me, I think was commendable. This is not the kind of forum that you would have expected that a head of state would have come to start engaging in politics. We would want you to come to the national stage and tell us that for the last 9 years that we've been in administration, this is what we've done A, we've done B, we had promised you 1, 2, 3, we have delivered, and which I think he did quite fairly during his speech.
You've mentioned, you've touched on a thing that this was not a forum for him to play politics. Is it the reason then that he did not even invite his, or even, acknowledge the presence of his deputy president?
In Kenya, we tend to politicize everything. For me, I think he had the reason, he had his own reason of why He never invited the deputy president to speak. And furthermore, this was a national day. And okay, but due to what we have been our tradition, we've seen them like before he speak, he's invited by the deputy, which never happened. And now, to me, I don't think it's a big issue, since what my expectation was just to hear, this being his last Madaraka Day, I wanted to hear so much from him. So I believe when you talk about it, the way my brother just said about infrastructure-wise, the president has done. He has done a very great, maybe a great job toward developing us infrastructure-wise. So there was no any issue for me as why he never invited the deputy president.
Mr. Ndirango,
yes.
Karibu Sena for another time. I want to welcome you. What is this one thing that you think has stood out for Mr. or the President Uhuru Kenyatta, especially in second term, from 2017 to 2022?
Okay, first of all, I would like to welcome my viewers from Kalimoni Ward,
Yes.
and send my greetings to them, Juja Kalimoni. Also, I would like to talk about the things Uhuru has done. And in the current system that is normally Kenyans, we don't look for like things like roads, things like those big infrastructures. Kenyans are starving. Most Kenyans are starving. They are beautiful Jew. Those are the kind of things people are really looking forward. Kwa Madaraka, it would have been better come up. Now, to me, it was a disappointment because I was expecting things like bei ya unga ishuke, vitu zingine hata kama si a budget day, but he could have done something that would really mark that day.
But you know, he didn't have an opportunity to do that because it was not a budget. It's not a budgetary meeting. It was actually just a Madaraka Day celebration, sort of.
But see, he's the president of Kenya. He has there's that provision where he can overrule anything. So to me, I was expecting a lot of things from him, and also looking forward that it was his last major event.
Yes, allow me to get back to you for a moment because they are working on your microphone. It seems to have an issue. We're taking a short break, but we will be right back with this conversation and even more.
The long-awaited antidote for ethical principles in life situations is finally here. Triangle Applied Ethics by Reverend Dr. Plawson Kuria. It is a philosophical book that aims to put ethics in a different way from what was previously known.
This book targets everybody because it is a book for ethics, but in particular because it is not a novel, nor it is a biography, but it's a scholarly book. It will be suitable for use in institutions of the higher learning, colleges and universities.
You can get your copy by ordering online at www.lomabooks.com or call 0780 796 448 or at PCEA Thindigwa and PCEA Kiambu Town offices or at Jitegemea Bookshop at PCEA Head Office. Triangle Applied Ethics for God, Self, Neighbor.
And there's more than we come before your presence, Lord. Thanking you for the many things that you have done for our lives.
Psalm 95:6. Come, let us bow down in worship.
We acknowledge thy gift of life we acknowledge thy gift of salvation, O God.
Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker.
Gracious Father, we come to thee this morning with thanksgiving in hearts. Thank you, God, for giving us an opportunity to live this day and to serve you.
For from him, and through him, and for him are all things.
I believe in God the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and the earth, and I believe in Jesus Christ.
Join our worship services every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on Kirk TV. Get the very best Christian television here on Kirk TV.
It's such an honor and a privilege to have you on board.
And I'm delighted to bring us the Word of God.
Be nourished holistically with our program lineup from Matters Health.
The health of women, mothers and children is a very fundamental and key area to invest and focus in.
Faith.
Bless all of us, Lord. Bless the whole country of Kenya.
Family.
We say here in Transform Families, stable families for
a stable society. Educational.
To educate you, help you and learn new laws.
Kazi na mali. Sisi ndisi.
It is junior talent in the program called Kirk Watoto.
As well as national issues.
In our part as a national government, we will continue to cooperate with like-minded stakeholders.
Experience it all here on Kirk TV.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Singing, if you love dancing, if you love sports, all this will be in Kirk Watoto Season 2. Don't you dare miss it.
Kirk Watoto Season 2 is coming. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Peace. Kirk Watoto, yay! Let all the children come to me. Do not hinder them.
Welcome back. Let's continue engaging on our socials, Kirk TV Kenya, both on Twitter and Facebook. And of course, our SMS number is 0341 22 0044. Of course, we are able to sample your views even as we continue with the conversations this morning. Before we went on break, we were talking about the end of term scorecard of His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. He is leaving power in the next 67 days or so, but he talked about the projects that he thinks his government has done and were of priority to Kenyans. And as we were talking about, the roads and the mega projects, Mr. Ndirango, you say that they are not of priority to you.
Okay, you cannot tell a hungry Kenyan to use the road, because you just make the roads and the highways. You tell them now I've made you the roads. Not a lot of people commute. Not every Kenyan is in a position to commute. When you go to shags, places like Mashambani huko, utapata watu guys, so many guys, they just there, they're working, they're working, farming. Then after that, they're done with the roads. Not unless the only time they need the road is when they are moving products from this point to point B. Otherwise, the rest of the time they are just walking and doing things. So to me, I would say the kind of infrastructures, that Jubilee and His Excellency Mr. President Uhuru has done. They are they are noble, they are big, but they
are not of that significance to the normal Mwananchi, according to what you're saying.
Yes.
But we may say a lot of things about that, but we know that you know, economy, the country cannot be open up, you know, for businesses, and you know that possibility of trading cannot open up until we have good road network, Mr. Kamau.
Yeah, that's very true. But one thing we need to consider, there is our priorities. Like, what's our immediate need as a nation? I think the cost of living is very high. The price of unga is very high. For me, I think he could have prioritized first to lower the cost of living, so that a common Mwananchi is comfortable. With the little he's earning, is comfortable, even his expenditure. Like the roads are there, just like you said, we need roads for the economy to open up. But just like my brother just said, we need first to have something in our stomach.
For the last 5 years, for you, Mr. Kamau,
yes,
if you were to be asked by the president, what are the priorities of the country for the last 5 years, not just for the last few years, maybe a year or so, since 2017, what will have been your priorities for the government of Uhuru Ruto, the second term?
I think after we re-elected them, they had the Big Four agenda, which for them, if they stick to this agenda, our country could have moved to another level. Because when you talk about manufacturing, you talk about universal health, when you talk about food security. So if he could have just, like, even if it was possible to move all of this agenda together, like you see, for me, I think he prioritized so much on the infrastructure side and left the other. There was a time that he launched universal health to some few counties. I don't know what happened to it. But infrastructure in terms of road network, mambo kama hizo, he has done it very well. But he forgot about the food security. He forgot about manufacturing. And no, the housing. There was a time that we had that project being launched, which I don't know what happened. It's no longer there. So, of all the four agendas, the big four agendas, is only one that I think he put so much emphasis on it, is the the infrastructure. Yeah.
Bonabiko, you know, the president, especially the second term, has been mad with a lot of uncertainties and eventualities. Talk about the COVID-19 and now the Ukraine-Russia war, Russia-Ukraine war. I know this as, you know, these are just excuses, we may call them so, but do you think they've impacted his second term in that he might not have delivered to the expectations of Kenyans?
Vincent, I wouldn't really want to call them excuses, because these are realities. Yeah, these are realities that we have lived with. It is true that we, you know, at the onset of 2020, we had COVID. And COVID did not just affect Kenya as a jurisdiction. This is something that affected the whole world. It is not an excuse that the war between Ukraine and Russia has affected to a very large extent all economies, and especially those ones that were relying on the, you know, Ukrainian, you know, production and even some of the facilities from Russia. But even more importantly, I'm seated here and I'm asking myself, and especially from the sentiments of my brother Ndirango and Kamau, and I'm asking myself, yes, it is true that you know, the cost of living has gone high. And remember, when you are talking to a common Mwananchi, they are more interested in the price of the foodstuffs on the table or on the shelf. But then the question that then we need to ask ourselves as a nation, or we need to ask ourselves as the people seated in this room, is that what has necessitated the, you know, the hike in, you know, in food prices? What has necessitated the hike in petroleum prices? And it would speak to the activities of the government, of the present government. So much so that if you would want to look at the priorities of the government, of the government between 2017 and 2022, it would directly tell you why we have an increase in food prices. For instance, if you look at all the big four agenda, we are talking about infrastructure in terms of roads, railway, and all that, which of course my brothers here are in agreement that that the government has done pretty quite well. If you look at healthcare, universal healthcare. If you look at the issues of housing, if you look at all the four-point agenda that the government had put in place between 2017 and 2022, these are agendas that are high consumers of finances. Where do those finances come from? That is the question that I want to ask myself. We've like one of the highlights during President Uhuru's speech was the issue of expanding our ports. Expanding ports is not something that we are going to expand with 20 billion or 100 billion. This is something that takes several billions, hundreds of billions. We are talking about the railway. Much as the railway probably we may not experience the benefits of the railway right now, but then the railway has consumed a large very large chunks of our budget. If you traverse this country, let's say just use Thika Road, all the way from Thika. It goes several of kilometers. They've expanded. The other day I was in Kisii, and when I was traveling between Kisii and Kisumu, the whole of that road is tarmacked. It's a two-lane. If you're to travel from Kitale all the way to Lodwar town, it's now tarmacked. That is more than 200 kilometers of tarmac. A place that has never experienced tarmac before. Now, where do all these monies come from? All these monies have to be financed by government. And if government is financing those projects, then that price is going to be felt on the shelf. It's going to be felt on our tables as consumers, as Kenyans. So the benefits of the activities of the current government may not be felt right now because we are feeling the pinch right now. We are financing those projects. But then its benefits are going to be felt way after this government has already exited the scene. That is what I want to probably share with my colleagues there, with my brothers here. That the benefits, and even Kenyans, that the benefits of the activities that have been undertaken by this government may not be felt right now. They are going to be felt 5 years from now. They are going to be felt 10 years from now, because we would have dispensed with all the loans that we have as a government, and then now we shall now be we shall be left with the infrastructures to use for free, as of now. But then as of now, things may be a bit difficult because we have to finance all those things. And even adding to the point that the point that you've spoken about, we've been living in very difficult situations. We are talking about COVID. We are talking about all these wars that have affected all the countries internationally. But then even more importantly, we have an election to prepare for. Where does the money for the elections come from?
It has to be financed.
It has to be financed. And who are the financiers of those elections? It is me and you. It is from our taxes. And that is why we are feeling it. Bei ya unga imepanda, bei ya mafuta imepanda, and all that.
So maybe you are alluding to the fact that things could be better after elections, you think?
Definitely things are going to look up after the elections, irrespective, much as the next government that is going to take after this government. And I can assure, whether it is Raila Amolo Odinga or whether it is His Excellency Ruto, you are going to take over an administration or a government that has a lot of debt. And so even in the first 5 years of whoever is going to take this government, we are not going to feel so much of over relief. After this person, after the next new president is going to take over, because the debt is there. It is not something that you're going to run away. It's not something that you're going to run away from. Much as probably you're going to tell people who gave us loans as a government that we need to restructure and I don't know do what. Even with the restructuring, we are still going to feel the pinch. Not just 1 year or 2 years after the next government would have taken over, but even 5-10 years. Yes.
Talking of debt, the president said that he asked a big question that people are saying that he's over borrowing, but what is over borrowing? What is too much borrowing? That is what he asked. I believe, I'm not so sure we have that clip, but I want us to talk about, you know, you borrow to use, you know, but again, there is this, you know, the monster in the house called corruption. You borrow money, but it ends up in the pockets of individuals, you know, and that is what he said. He said, we are not going to lie. It is a devil that is still alive. Bwana Ndirangu, do you feel kwamba huu ni shetani ndio yupo, lakini ni kama serikali imeshindwa kumuua, serikali ya Uhuru?
First of all, I would like to say this government yenye iko na hata yenye itakuja, they are all promising about watafanya, watapeana pesa 6,000, wengine watashukisha maisha. So the problem we are currently facing in Kenya is not distribution of the resources, like the way you're going to utagawa pesa na nini. Problem iko production. So ile government itakuja, kama kuna mtu atakuja awe president na tu asecure resources from production, then distribution will be easier. And corruption right now inafaa kuwa dealt with kwanzia production.
Kwanzia production.
Uko chini kabisa.
Uko chini.
Yes, but
according to you,
okay. Yes. But right now wakiendelea, if we continue like this and people promise this, definitely the next government is going to have a lot of debts yenye itakuwa hard kuwork nazo. Yes.
Bwana Kamau, you know, he said that it needs to be dealt with from the bottom up, if you may use that. But what is your take on the government's fight against corruption, especially the second term, or even the 10 years of Uhuruto presidency?
Yeah, I think this regime, if I'm allowed to say, we have experienced the highest level of corruption. With our president, he's so much friendly. Like if he give you an assignment, he doesn't do the follow-up. Like, what are you doing? As long as the things are going the way he wants. So people take advantage. And that's why you see, like, okay, people are going to run the office the way they want. They are going to spend how they want, as long as they are working. So I believe the too much that we are borrowing, if we had a clear mechanism or good mechanism to fight this monster, the amount that we have been having is much enough for us to develop our country. Because you can imagine the kind of government that the late President Kibaki took from late President Moi. That government, I think for me, he did so much before, you know, bringing to stand again. One thing that he said that he knew where the loopholes were. And one thing he was going to do first is to seal those holes. He did that, and that's why we saw by the time he was ending his term, he left this country with very minimal debt. Then from the people that took from that government, I think they allowed not the holes that were there. They also inflated others. And that's why we're seeing, my brother said that we might continue experiencing what we are going through for the rest, like 10 years. And I'm saying, even for the person that is going to become the next president of this nation after August 9th, it is most likely that you are going to hate that person within the first 1 year. Because all of them, they are promising us that when you elect me, I'm going to lower the cost of living, and that's what we're expecting from our mind. But from what I got there on the previous day, there's some news that was saying that all the debts, the grace period is over, and now we have started reservicing or servicing the loans. So with that, I think we're expecting a higher or maybe very difficult economic times.
Going forward.
Yes.
Going forward, even the presidential aspirants or those that are looking up to, take it away from Uhuru Kenyatta, they're talking about we will fight. We know the loopholes. The Ruto talking about the loopholes. Raila on the other side talking about the loopholes. But I want us to listen a little bit to a soundbite by the Deputy President on corruption yesterday when he met the EU representatives yesterday.
So our firm position as Kenya Kwanza is that the failure to fight corruption is when you undermine the institutions, the criminal justice system, by restricting their financial autonomy and by weaponizing the fight against corruption to be a fight against your political competitors. That is how, for example, the COVID billionaires escaped because they were friends of the people who say they want to fight corruption. If the fight against corruption was left to the institutions, the COVID billionaires would be behind bars by now.
I want to give the last word on this. Wakili say that the war against corruption has been weaponized. And that's the reason that, for example, the COVID billionaires are walking scot-free, according to him. There's a short one on that.
Yeah, there's some truth. Yeah, there's some truth to whatever the Deputy President was, was talking about. I really, and this is my opinion, I really do not like the way this administration has handled, especially the issue of corruption. They haven't handled it the best way, and it is true that if the institutions that have been tasked with addressing the issues of corruption, we are talking about the EACC, we are talking about the DCI, we are talking about the police, we are talking about the judiciary, all the way until even the prisons. The way that this government has addressed the issue of corruption, the way this government has, has tackled the issue of corruption wasn't the best way. And it is true that if the independent institutions that have been tasked with fighting corruptions were actually as independent as the law had envisaged, then we would have so many people behind bars, we would have so many people in our prisons. This government hasn't quite done some justice to the fight against corruption. That one I want to agree with my colleagues.
You agree with your colleagues and even with the DP. I want to take this forward, but can we have also to hear what the Kenyans had to say about Uhuru's 10 years in government?
Well, it's just a matter of time before the end of the lapse of what could be called as the duration of the election period before Kenyans decide on who to elect on what position, with the government saying it has performed the best. Now today, I'm in the streets just to determine what could be the performances of the government. Now I'm joined by some of the youth and citizens just to determine the issue. Kwa siku za hivi karibuni tumekuwa tukisikia kwamba serikali ya Uhuru inasema kwamba imeperform the best kwa mambo ya mabarabara, kupeana kazi kwa vijana.
Tamu ya kwanza tunasema iko best, lakini tamu ya pili hiyo kazi kwa vijana uongo, hata tujapata yeye. Sijui labda inafikia watu wengine, si hii ndio hatujafikiwa. Lakini tamu ya pili imekuwa tricky sana.
Wenyewe wamesema ajira kwa vijana bado sio kila mtu amepata.
Yenyewe amejaribu, lakini kuna jambo moja ambayo hakutimiza vizuri. Sababu walikuwa na deputy wake, lakini alimkatia kabisa. Wakiwa wawili walikuwa wamefanya, lakini kwa yeye alikuwa anasema ati anafanya peke yake, lakini walikuwa wanafanya na Ruto. Uchumi ni baya kabisa. Uchumi ni baya. Ukiangalia vitu vimekuwa kwa bei ya juu zaidi. Lakini kwa sasa hiyo ingine mahospitali, mabarabara amejaribu, lakini kwa uchumi iko chini kabisa.
Kwa hii serikali ya Uhuru ndio tumeona mpaka vijana wadogo wakipata bodaboda zao za kuendesha. Tumeona watu wakijipeleka wakijiendeleza. Yenye iko inafanyika mbeleni. Tulikuwa tunaona mali na wazee. Sasa iko kwa vijana. Uhuru tena.
Kuna maendeleo mingi yameleta, lakini kuna ingine kwa hiyo manifesto yake haikufaulu. Kama mambo ya laptop alisema analeta laptop kwa shule na bado haikufaulu. Uchumi bado sasa iko chini kabisa kwa sababu hata njaa imekuwa mingi Kenya. Hakuna chakula. Na pesa hakuna. Mifuko biashara zimekuwa chini. ya handshake imetuliza, kwa sababu imetuliza venye kulikuwa na vurugu, watu wamekuja pamoja, lakini hata deputy wake amemsaidia, amemshika mkono, kwa sababu bila deputy hakuna kitu angefanya. Kuna party ilicheza na bado deputy amecheza part, lakini hii second term kazi haijafanyika kubwa kama first term. General election watu watokezee na tuwe na peaceful election. Hiyo ndio naweza omba watu wajitokeze wa vote kulingana na venye mtu anaona maoni yake.
Yenyewe handshake imesaidia kidogo, mambo ya vurugu hakuna, lakini handshake haikuwa ya mwananchi wa kawaida. Juzi wenyewe tulikuwa tunafikiri venye huyu mzee walisalimiana na alikuwa anatetea sisi akuwa pande wa opposition, atainua ekonomi yetu, tuwe na pesa mfukoni. Yes, maendeleo tumeona, lakini bado watu wanalia bado kidogo. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia tukichaguana ang'ang'ane sana mwenye ataingia tupate pesa kwa mfuko. Hiyo inamaanisha umekula, umevaa, pesa ambayo kwa mfuko ufanya maendeleo.
Uchaguzi hakuja amani, kila mtu atoe maoni yake, mtu ataka bate kura, sasa aendelee.
Handshake tuseme tu ilileta amani, lakini maneno ya maendeleo tuko vile vile. Hiyo miaka 5 enyewe tumehasu. Miaka ya kwanza na Ruto ilikuwa afadhali, lakini kutoka waachane na Ruto, hii handshake hata imetuletea mashida. Wakati huu ndio amani kwanza ikuwe kitu ya kwanza, tusipigane, tukuwe na amani, tufanye election ya amani na tuchague kiongozi ambaye anajali mwananchi wa kawaida.
Well, those are just some of the comments made by different Kenyans saying that the government of Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto is yet to deliver than they promised in their manifesto in the year 2017. Dennis Munene for Kirk TV.
Welcome again. That is just a part of what Kenyans are saying out there about pertaining to the 10 years of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto in power. I want to look at one or two of your feedback. Raf M. Kanini says, catching you live from Kikuyu, Kiambu County. Boris J's Yelstein White. Say hi to Robert Ndirango. You know that name? It's a big one. Boris Jade Yelstein White. Dr. Kateri Slim. I'm Kateru Slim, resident of Kalimoni. Say hi to my incoming MCA, Kalimon Ward. It seems that you mobilized your people well. I'm yet to see one for Bwana Kamau, but I believe that they will be coming. I want us to take this forward and look at what has been happening for the last 2 weeks about the IBC clearing of aspirants. And I want us to immediately play Mwangi Waire's clip, pertaining the clearance at the IBC.
Mnaogopa huyo mzee? No, huyo mzee anaitwa Chebukati, mnamuogopa mpaka madhabi inatokea na mzemi mtaanza kuenda kotini. Me, I'm saying it now that praise is a sin of crime. Any credible presidential candidate should actually be there dealing with the underlying issues there. Whether you are affected by it, William Ruto, Raila Odinga, Wangi Wairia, our water, let us sit down because we are the candidates and ask what is happening with IBC at Bomas. We might be adversaries, we might actually be enemies, but on this one, we need to clean it.
Bwana Ndirango, probably umepitia hii process. What is happening with the IBC?
I can say there has been a very big challenge, especially going to people and asking them to give you the IDs, photocopies. It has been a very big challenge, being that now you know hizi mambo zinakuwaga ukora za about IDs and all that. People registering lines with using people's photocopies and IDs. So telling Kenyans, telling aspirants to go and bring photocopies, the IDs, photocopies and all that. And there has been this conception that people have been talking about that the IBC lost the data. They don't have the data. So people are like saying we're doing the job for IBC kwa sababu hawana hizo data. Sasa it's like we are taking the data to them now. So it has not been easy. It has not been easy, and But on the other hand, it's working for us as aspirants because we are going there campaigning ourselves again and asking them to give us those photocopies. Yes.
But Kamau, you know, I want to look at this from another eye. The aspirants knew what is needed. They, you know, they had a checklist from IBC for a very long time. They know what is needed for you to get verified. Why then the last minute push and cry all over and drama?
That's one is there's some people experience that because initially some of these measures were not there. Like in 2017, the issue of, you know, you get some signature attached to the photocopy of ID was not there. And the period that they have been given, I think, is very short. And you can see, you all know, it's very hard for you or someone to sign for you, then give you a photocopy of the ID. People are not, you know, they have been saying, so for me, these were very strict measures. I think there was a reason behind that, maybe to cut short or to reduce the number of aspirants, especially the independent, because I could imagine the kind of booklet we would have if we ended up with more than 40 presidents. So there's a way they are trying to reduce those as the people buying with the independent, and some of the political party, I don't want to mention them, they did shambolic nomination. And they ended up with weaker candidate, and the stronger candidate appeared to be on the other side. So
independent.
Independent. So I believe they also have a stake. That's according to my assumption. They have a stake on that, so that they may reduce people and maybe the competition that is there. Yeah.
Mr. Miko, do you think IBC, according to the assumption of Mr. Kamau, is the IBC compromised in any way in this clearance process, to an extent that Mwangi Waria says, if I'm not going to be in the ballot, I'm going to do what? I'm going to turn my party into a resistance movement.
From where I sit, I sympathize with the IBC. The IBC is being forced to sanitize a process that it would otherwise not have been part of. I remember when we were coming up with the Political Parties Act, and the philosophy behind the Political Parties Act was to regularize or to regulate the environment that is the political scene. And if we would have stuck to the philosophy of the drafters of the political act, Political Parties Act, we wouldn't be in the situation that we find ourselves in. IBC has had to deal with there were more than 40,000, 50,000 independent candidates. There are so many, and you see that talks to the democracy of this country. And so you see all this mess that has been, that has been done by the politicians, all this mess that has been done by government, all this mess that has been done by government institution is now put to the doorstep of the IBC. And so the IBC has to deal with a myriad of issues, which one it had not budgeted for, two it had not factored in its logistics and everything. And so they have so many other things that they have to deal with, things that ordinarily they wouldn't be dealing with. Let's take for example that our political scene would be so regulated that we have like 2, 3, or at most 4 political parties that are sponsoring candidates for the various positions. Let's take, for example, an established democracy like the United States of America. That we have the Democrats on one side, we have the Republicans on the other side, and then we have 1 or 2 other extra parties. We wouldn't be finding ourselves in the mess that the IBC is finding itself in. Right? So it is a systemic problem that we as a country have to deal with. It is not something that is going to be dealt with right now, or it's not something that we're going to deal with in 2027, unless we address the way we are dealing with political parties. And my colleagues here agree with me that if political parties were so regulated, properly regulated, that even as they undertake their assignments, that is the nominations, if the nominations were perceived to be free and fair, if we had systems that would guarantee that the results out of the nominations from the political parties are free and fair, we are going to reduce the number of independent candidates.
Yeah.
If we are going to have parties that, parties that are well regulated, we don't need 1,001 political parties like we have in this country. So if we are going to follow the strict guidelines in the registration of our political parties, I can tell you one thing for a fact, that we are not going to have more than 10 political parties. For instance, a political party, the formation of a political party is that a political party is not supposed to speak to a particular region. A political party is supposed to have nationwide, following in not less than 24 counties. And in this not less than 24 counties, you are supposed to have a following of not less than 1,000 people. I can assure you for a fact that the more than 100 political parties that we have in this country do not meet the legal threshold that we have in this country. And so if the political parties, if we were to follow the letter and spirit of the Political Parties Act, we are not going to have all this mess that we are finding ourselves in a country. But anyway, we are in the situation that we find ourselves in. What is there for the IEBC then? The IEBC has to make good with the resources that it has. It has to make good with the human resource that it has. It has to make good with the financial resource that it has, to ensure that it assures all Kenyans, including those ones that are vying as independent, that it is up to the task, that it can deliver a credible election. And so it finds itself in a very awkward situation. I really can't blame them. They find themselves in a very awkward situation. And I remember when they appeared before the parliamentary committee on the budget and everything, and they were telling Parliament that, hey, look here, for us to properly function, we need 80 billion. But then the government is telling them that, hey, look here, we can't give you 8 billion or 80 billion. We are only going to give you 40 billion. Now, how are they going to operate with 40 billion and yet their projected budget was 80 billion?
80 billion. That's a big question. We want to take this forward and talk about, still on matters IEBC, the DP says that almost 1 million or so voters from a stronghold are not in the register. I want us to listen to sound bites from the DP on the register and, of course, on Chebukati on the same.
So our firm position as Kenya Kwanza is that the failure to fight corruption is when you undermine the institutions, the criminal justice system, by restricting their financial autonomy, and by weaponizing the fight against corruption to be a fight against your political competitors. That is how, for example, we expect that everybody who is concerned, including the EU, to try and get as much detail as possible, both from the IEBC and from these public officials, on what this all is about and how did close to 1 million names disappear from the register. And many of those names are people from what we consider our stronghold. So there is a clear attempt to try some monkey games.
So the Commission assures Kenyans that their data is intact and that the ongoing processes are just to ensure that we have a clean register in readiness for elections. So let's not talk about 1 million names missing. There's no such thing. It's not there. The 1 million names we are talking about are for those who applied for transfers. And we are undergoing the process of ensuring that the proper transfers are effected. Yes, there are cases where polling centers were degazetted because of the request by the owners of those institutions, and new polling centers were created, and that then would amount to movement of the voters from that polling station to the center to the next center. But those are then aspects that will be made very clear to Kenya.
Bwana Ndirango, do you believe that IBC will be able to deliver a credible and, that can be, how do you call it, a credible election?
Yes, first of all, I have so much faith in them. And as my colleague said, they are working a lot in under pressure, wakona pressure mob sana. And you have to satisfy every candidate. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy job. But at the same time, we want them to do their job. Their job is to deliver a free and fair election. But now the current situation in ground, people are saying when you're going to take photocopies, the IDs, people are questioning a lot about IEBC, and we as aspirants, we are having a hard time explaining to them this is what we need, and it's zinaenda kwa IEBC, the photocopies. It's not an easy task. So to me, I think they could have taken a time at least. They run adverts because they have that provision in their in that budget. They run adverts. They sensitize people that these independent candidates are going to be coming to your door, and they'll be taking photocopies and all that. So to me, the only issue I have with them is that the ID issue, but. About them delivering, I know they will, because apart from them, we have international observers. We have a lot of people who have interest in Kenya, who cannot let Kenya go down. And the current situation, actually, the question we should be asking right now is, what if it's not Raila? What if it's not Ruto? Who else? Yes.
I want to be fair because I'm really pushed on matters time because time is really running out. But I want to give you an opportunity to, for a moment to talk about mashinani kule mnakotoka bwana Kamau from Kenya. That word I'm not going to repeat it again because that Masai word is kind of difficult for me to grab.
Okay.
I mean, what is this one thing that you want to do for these people in that word?
Okay, with the people from Kekonyoki or the Konyoki ward, I think by the time I decided like I'm going to vie for that political seat, I understood the mandate and the key function of the MCAs. As an MCA, I think and I believe there are 3 key functions that I'm supposed to do. That's the way it has been stipulated in the Constitution, and I'm going to summarize it in this form. First of all, as an MCA, my main job is representation. The other thing is something called legislation. The other thing is oversight. So I believe if I execute all these functions in the way it's supposed to do, or maybe in a proper way, I'm sure I'm going to be the best MCA in Kekonyoki ward. Because when you talk about representation, there are so many issues that are affecting my people, starting from the marketplace. During the allocation of the new marketplace, the dust is still has not yet settled there. So because there was no one to represent them during the construction and during the distribution space. So starting from there, we also have other people from what do you call them, the business community there. The issue about licenses, the issue about how they operate in the environment in which they operate their businesses is something that needs somebody who is going to take their issues and represent them fully in the county assembly in Kajiado County. So oversight is to ensure that the county government project has been followed to the letter from the time they are being launched until the time they are being completed. The other thing about legislation is to make sure that I take part in formulation of policies that are friendly to whichever stakeholder or maybe sector that is there in Konyoki ward. In the Konyoki ward, we have got sectors like transport, traders or trade. We've got livestock rearing, that is. We've got sand harvesting and all those kind of things that we need to, if we got the clear and a good leadership and governance, people are going to profit greatly.
Yes. Which party are you standing with?
Oh, okay, I'm vying with NOPEU NOPEU. We have
can you say it in full? I love how it's called. The normal
National Ordinary People Empowerment Union.
Good.
This is our sign, NOPEU. We are saying NOPEU. I think is a translation from the Meru language.
Yeah.
Say like you need like to take it to iskume to iende.
Okay.
Bad leadership. We have our party leader who is Mpuru Ambori, who is also running for Tigania East, member of county, member of National Assembly. Our Secretary General Rogers
Kimpembe.
Yeah. And our party symbol is the ladder.
Okay.
Tunapanda ngazi pamoja.
Wish you the best, even as you panda ngazi with the people of that word.
Kikonyoki word.
Kikonyoki word that I don't want to repeat. But Ndirangu, wale watu wa Kalimoni, ni Kalimoni
Yes,
Juja. Juja. Unataka kuwafanyia nini bana? Ndio wakupatie kura.
Kitu ya kwanza kuna zile duties za MCA. Hizo nitaziassume kabisa, nitazifanya. But kuna hawa vijana, kuna wamama, kuna wazee ambao wako na ideas but they don't have funds to do to start those ideas. So niko na kitu nita introduce inaitwa talent funding. Talent funding.
Okay.
So that one nitakuwa unakuja na proposal kwa ofisi na kusikiza what you want to do. If you have a talent, if you have a talent and you have a project and that project you don't have the finances, I sponsor all. I give you funding. So that's what I want to introduce, which is very new in that area, and also in Kenya. Kunaga that provision. Yes.
Okay, so that's all that you're going to do for your people?
Not all, of course.
Well, that's part, because we can't have time to talk about everything that you're going to do. We wish you all the best, you two guys, and I like it that you are reasonably young, and we believe that you are able now to transform the regions and at large this country going forward.
Also, before I forget, I'm a music producer, and okay, of course, whenever I go to a show, I like blessing someone. So in this show, I would like if there's someone who's talented out there who doesn't have money to produce his song or her songs, anaweza tuma jina yake hapo, atakuja studio, I'll record him for free, one song. Yes.
For free, that is it. There is an offer by producer Ndirangu that if you're a musician and you believe you have talent, but you don't have money to produce your music, he is ready to record it free of charge for you. Just send your name to us and we'll forward it to him, of course, and you'll have an opportunity to, you know, sort of start off your talent. Biko, I want you know, to give you an opportunity, because I know you are not vying for anything, but I want to give you an opportunity to conclude the show for us by, you know, talking about the sort of the silver bullet. Is it Kalonzo finally the silver bullet in Azimio that they needed?
Even before the silver bullet, I feel like I should as well produce one song and go to my colleague Ndirangu for free recording.
No, you will pay. You will pay.
You'll pay. But I want to wish the two of them well. Like you said, they are young men, and it is high time that we have young men coming very, very strongly to positions of leadership. On your question as to the silver bullet, the silver bullet insofar as Azimio is concerned, I can say for a fact that yes, it is a bullet. I don't know whether it is silver in color or whether it is golden or whether it is whatever, but it is a good. It's a good bullet to have on your side because it adds numbers. It adds numbers to them. As to whether it is going to translate into votes come 9th of August, that one we will see as time progresses.
We'll see as time goes. Before we play the health insight, my producer, if you're able to give me those clips of Kalonzo back to Azimio and Raila welcoming him, even as we conclude on this and move forward, I'll be very glad.
Mimi nimerudi kucheza position 11. Mimi ndio Messi. Kipindi ni kipindi cha lala salama. Sina mna hiyo. Nilikuwa tu napumzika. Baba alikuwa ameniweka spare. Sasa kipindi cha lala salama nitampigia ndugu Raila position number 9, yeye atascore immediately na Kenya hii itakuwa sawa sawa. Mimi nimerudi kucheza position 11. Mimi ndio Messi. Kipindi ni kipindi cha lala salama. Si namna hiyo. Nilikuwa tu napumzika. Baba alikuwa ameniweka spare. Sasa kipindi cha lala salama.
Timu ya Azimio sasa imekuwa full team. Tuko tayari sasa kwenda kupigana na wale timu ya Kenya kwisha. Tutacheza na wao. Itakuwa ile michuano ambayo tutacheza haijaonekana katika Kenya hii. Vile tutacheza haijaonekana. Si hata Barcelona, si Real Madrid, si Man City, si Arsenal, si Liverpool, si Man U, ili yote combined.
All right, that's His Excellency, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, using the football analogy to, you know, bring out what Kalonzo brings back to Azimio. He's going to play number 11, Messi of the team. We'll wait and see if that is the case, because if you're going to use Messi has not performed this season with PSG. But we wish them all the best. That is it we had time for. Guys, I want to say a big thank you for coming. I wish you all the best, Bwana Robert Ndirangu for Kalimone Ward. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best, Bwana Francis Kamau for Kikonyoke Ward. I wish you all the best, Ashoya for...
In my first song. That
you're going to pay.
Yes. He's offered, he's going to do it for
the
free.
viewer, but you are not the viewer.
Yes. No worries.
Yes. And wish you all the best. And enjoy the day even as you push forward. We believe that we'll have time again to meet even before the elections. And may God bless you. I want to leave you with a health insight for the day. Yeah, today we are going to talk a little bit on partnership between the Ministry of Health and the Nairobi Metropolitan Service, WHO, USAID and UNICEF, who have launched an accelerated COVID-19 vaccination campaign targeting Nairobi County. According to Health Principal Secretary Susan Mochache, the accelerated campaign targets to have at least 70% of the population in Nairobi vaccinated in the next 6 weeks, with the region posing a threat of another pandemic wave owing to its population density currently at 48.9%. In Nairobi, and of course only 1.4 million of the population in Nairobi is fully vaccinated against a targeted population of 3.05 million of the persons living in Nairobi County.
Kuangalia namba hizi zikiendelea kuenda juu, watu wakizidi kupata ugonjwa huu wa corona, inamaanisha kwamba sisi kama nchi lazima tena tuanze kuweka juhudi za juu zaidi kuhakikisha kwamba tusirudi nyuma kwa yale ambayo tulipitia katika mwaka wa 2020 na 2021.
I will just conclude with a few of your feedback. There is Marcus Gavi Willie Padmore White. Hey, Kalimon Ward has a leader. I salute Robert Ndirangu. Mwanake wa Wanyiri Francis. Hello Robert Ndirangu, finest Kalimon Ward. Alfred Rutieno, tell mheshimiwa kama Daktari Alfred kutoka Kiserian ako ndani. At least you have your viewers and your supporters also, watching you this morning. We want to say thank you very much for being with us since 8 a.m. We want to call it a day, but don't forget that my colleague Faith Kaulo is coming up with the entertainment section. Of course, going to look at the trending on the web, and of course, her guest today on Matters Music. You don't want to miss that particular segment. My name is Vincent Kerosi. Let's do this again next Friday. Bye bye. God bless you. Asante sana.
Umenitoa mbali Sokyanga, dontia woteta. Sokyanga, dontia korera. Sokyanga, dokere moru. Hallelujah. Shokyanga tiga korera. Tiga korera. Hiyo French inamaanisha nini?
Inasema shukuru Mungu kwa kila jambo, wacha kucomplain.
Tiga kuteta. Hiyo at least nimesikia.
Tiga kuteta ni kucomplain, kutiga korera ni kulia, usilie.
All right, that is Shokyanga. I hope I'm getting it right.
Yeah.
All right, good morning to you,
Good
Lauren
morning
Kiki.
too.
Ni poa sana. It's very nice to have you in our studios today. A very good morning to you, dear viewer. Thank you so much for staying with us this fine CAC in the morning. Keep interacting with us on our socials. Facebook and YouTube is CAC TV Kenya. And in studio with us for the guest artist segment is Lauren Kiki. Kiki, wanasema kuna venye artist wanasemanga huyo anatafuta kiki. Huyo anatafuta kiki. So leo tumepata Kiki yako studio na sisi. Is Kiki your name or is it what can I say, your artist name?
Okay, Kiki is my artist name. Nilisema ikuwe katika uimbaji wangu, but Kiki, jina yangu original ni Lauren Gaki.
Okay.
But hiyo Kiki imetoka kwa Gaki.
Right. Okay.
That's my
Lauren
nickname.
Kiki. Let's ask about Shokyanga. You're telling us give thanks. This is your song. Is it
Shokyanga is to give thanks. You should give thanks for everything God has done for you. You're not supposed to complain anytime.
Yeah. Is it Kikuyu, Meru, ama
Meru?
Oh, it's Meru.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Verses zingine zinasema aje?
Nasema Mungu ametuambia kwamba tumshukuru kwa kila jambo. Tusiwe tuna complain, so tukue na shukrani katika roho zetu.
No matter kenye tunapitia.
No matter kenye. Ni kama unaelewa. Nasema hivyo. Nashukuru Mungu kwa kila jambo. Hali yako yote. Just say thank you. Sababu ni God amekuwezesha, si wewe. So sikuwe na kucomplain mingi kwa life, maana life ni up and down. But God ametuambia tu shukuru.
Wow. Lauren, tuangalie jani yako kwenye industry ya muziki. Nikiangalia YouTube naona songs ziliuploadiwa nyingi 1 year ago. Ni kweli ulianza ku release music 1 year ago ama ni za kitambo, ni YouTube tu ndo mpya?
Okay, songs ni za hiyo 1 year tu. Nili record 2020 na nilikaweka tu YouTube 2020.
Okay.
But kuimba nimekuwa nikiimba from 2014.
Kulienda aje ndo uka realize you can sing? Instance ya kwanza nini ili happen?
Okay, nikiwa mdogo nimeishi kuimba.
Okay.
Nilikuwa praise and worship leader huko Ushago. Kwa Sunday school leader pia. Nilikuwa naimba sana. So hiyo wakati ndo nilijua mimi ni mwimbaji na niko na hiyo talent, sababu sometimes ningeambiwa niongoze uimbaji kwa church, ningeongoza nijipate nimeenda siko, you see. Napata nafuu sana kwa uimbaji. Wakati nilikuja kujua niko na kipawa, nilikuwa uimbaji, nyimbo zangu zinakujanga nikiwa peke yangu.
Okay.
Sometimes nakuanga kwa bafu ama na walk peke yangu. Napata new songs. Yeah.
Ebu nataka tutarudi kuangalia 2014 ulianzaje, but now that umemention about venye inspiration ya new song inakujanga ukiwa peke yako, ebu let's talk about that. Song inakujanga maybe ni kama yeye Shokyanga, inakujanga Shokyanga and then maneno unatafuta, ama inakujanga yote?
Inakujanga yote, sababu the moment nimepata chorus maneno zinakuja. Na sijaimba wimbo yani wimbo ijai nikujia tukiwa wengi. Akuanga peke yangu.
Wow.
So times na kuamka bafu. Times na kuanga na walk. Kama hiyo wimbo Sambaratisha ilikuja nikiwa kwa nyumba peke yangu wakati wa corona. Wakati corona ilikuja. Hiyo song ndo ilikuja. Nikaimba chorus kwanza.
So inakujadi na tune yake.
Ilikujadi na tune yake. In fact hata venye nilienda studio hata siku change chochote. Nilienda tu na hiyo tune, producer akasema it's okay.
Inakuanga maybe ni what you are going through ama inakuanga ni
hiyo Sambaratisha naweza sema ingine ni kuna mambo nilikuwa napitia. Na pia nikaona kwa watu so ilikamu hivyo.
So ilikuwa ni changamoto at that time. Zenye unaweza share ama ni personal?
Hizo ni personal.
But ni testimony. Tuseme yenyewe Mungu alikutendea. Turudi 2014. Of course umetuambia umekuwa ukiimba since umekuwa mdogo. Sasa ile kuenda professionally kuingia kwenye industry ya muziki, kwanza ministry. Uliamua tu ni decision ili happen ama ni watu walikuwa na encourage na kwambia uko na talent? Ili happen aje?
Talent nilijua niko nayo sababu kila time nikienda tuseme nimealikwa mahali niimbe song hata ya wenyewe. Nikitoka hapo nje watu wakaniambia you have a good voice, you have a good voice. So nikajua niko na kitu ndani yangu. Sasa nikaanza sasa hapo niliingia kwa maombi nikaambia God sasa naomba unitumie. Umenipatia kipawa but sijui nitaanzia wapi. Nipatie nyimbo. Kiwa muimbaji unapitianga challenge mingi sana. Na Mungu akitaka kukutumia kuna ukose hiyo mwito ukose kuitimiza. Kose kufanya mapenzi yake. Kuna changamoto zinakujanga. Najipata unapitia hali ngumu kabisa kimaisha sababu nilipojua napitia changamoto sababu sitii sauti ya Mungu. Kuna dada mmoja muimbaji rafiki yangu. Nilimpigia simu nikamwambia ile maneno napitia. Aliniambia Lauren, wewe umekataa kuimbia Mungu. Ukiimbia Mungu maisha yako itabadilika. Na Faye, let me tell you from the day I started singing or I started recording my song. Hiyo ndo time God alichange maisha yangu. Ilikuwa 2020 time ya corona but niliona God. Niliona Mungu.
So life ilibadilika.
Life ilibadilika.
First song yako kurekod kwa studio ilikuwa gani?
Studio ama song? Ilikuwa Weta Kiugo Kimwe. Ya Kimeru bado.
Hiyo inamaanishaje?
Sema neno moja.
Neno moja.
Maisha yangu ibadilike.
Na kweli maisha ilibadilika.
Ilibadilika.
So ilikuwa decision uliamua kuanza na song za Kimeru ama hizo at the moment ndo ulikuwa nazo?
Nilisema wacha niimbe kwanza lugha yangu. Kiwa ya kwanza. Then after that nikaambia God sasa release hizo zingine. Za Kimeru nimeimba 4, Kiswahili 2, Kizungu 1.
So
kuna ingine inakuja bado.
Bado there's good things coming. Shikilia hiyo, tutawaambia shikilia kwanza. Tuone ulitransition aje, uliimba hizi za Kimeru zikifuatana then uka transition to Kiswahili ama venye ulikuwa unazipata ndio ulikuwa unazirelease?
Hiyo ya Kimeru hiyo first song niliimba peke yake ikiwa single. Kaeka YouTube. Na hizo zingine zilikuwa but kushoot nilikuwa na shoot zikiwa zinafuatana but not the same day.
Venye uli release Kiugo mara ya kwanza ilipokelewaje?
Hiyo siku ilikuwa na views nyingi. Nilikuwa unajua mimi alinafanya kazi tuko watu wengi so nilikuwa naambia kila mtu ingieni online, niko YouTube. So nilipata views wengi. In fact hiyo song iko na 1.7 views. Na nashukuru Mungu. Sababu ndio mwanzo.
Yeah, ikaku encourage kuona hata hii jani nimechukua, wacha niendelee.
Yeah.
Okay. Producer naona ananiambia anataka kusambaratisha. Nimejaribu kushikilia lakini anasema hapana, ni wakati wa kusambaratisha. So tutasikiza sambaratisha, nataka ukuje unishow venye tuta dance. Unipeleke pole pole.
Okay.
Mimi sijui kucheza vizuri lakini nitajaribu.
Yeah.
So tutasikiza sambaratisha and then tutarudi tueleze story ya hiyo song.
Okay.
All right.
Sambaratisha, sambaratisha, mipango ya adui zako sambaratisha, 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 jina la Yesu. Sambaratisha, 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 mipango ya adui zako sambaratisha, 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 kwa jina la Yesu. Sambaratisha, sambaratisha, mipango ya adui zako sambaratisha, 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 kwa jina la Yesu. Sambaratisha, mipango ya adui zako sambaratisha, 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 kwa jina la Yesu.
Angua kwa jina la Yesu. Wow. Kuna kitu napenda hii song. Wanasema sambaratisha
mipango ya maadui,
lakini sambaratisha kwa jina la
Yesu.
Kwa hivyo unakumbusha mafans that above everything else,
yes,
Mungu ndiye mkuu, si ndio?
Kabisa.
Hebu nataka tueleze story ya hii song. I like it personally. Unaona tumedance. Na mimi kudance na kuanga mshai, lakini ikikuja kwa sambaratisha, sijui
unasambaratisha kweli
sambaratisha kweli kweli.
Wow.
Hebu tueleze about this song, ilikukujia ukiwa wapi? Maybe ulikuwa unapitia nini at that time?
Okay. Sijui nitasema nini, lakini sambaratisha ililikujia venye tu nimesema, nikiwa kwa nyumba. Na ndio hiyo time kulikuwa na corona. Imekuja. So nilikuwa kwa nyumba, nilikuwa nimekaa tu. Kuna watu nilikuwa na vita na wao, na nikawajua. Na hiyo time nilikuwa na maadui na nikawajua. So nikaambia God nisaidie kushinda. Na nitakutukuza. Ndio sasa hiyo jina tu sambaratisha ikakuja kwa mind. Sasa venye imekuja kwa mind, nikasema sambaratisha. Sambaratisha ni kumaanisha kudestroy.
Yes.
Sindio? Kuharibu.
Yeah.
So nikasema ninaharibu mipango ya maadui zangu kwa jina la Yesu. Sasa wimbo ilitoka hapo. Na kwa hiyo vita nilipata nimeshinda. Na nikaona Mungu. Na nashukuru Mungu kwa hiyo hali sababu ilinipatia wimbo. Na kila kitu iko sawa. Kila kitu ni Mungu.
Kwa hivyo ukisikiza hiyo song sahihi na kukumbusha that hiyo ulikuwa unapitia and you became victorious because of God. Kuna mahali unasema njia zao zikotelezi.
Ni Biblia imesema hivyo. So niliingia kwa Bible nikaangalia vile Biblia imesema. So njia za maadui zetu zitakuwa na giza na utelezi. So nikaambia Mungu, wacha niimbe ikiwa wimbo. So njia za maadui zangu zikuwe na giza na utelezi kwa jina la Yesu. Maana faith hakuna mtu ananga adui. Na maadui zako ni wale mnakula na wao na kunywa na wao. So tunaisambaratisha yote
kwa jina la Yesu.
Kwa jina la Yesu.
Whether tunajua hiyo mipango, hatujui.
Hatukwange tunajua yenye wanapanga. But tunasambaratisha. Maana hawa maadui ndio Mungu anasema anabadilishanga, wanakuwa baraka kwetu. Wanakuwa marafiki tena. So usipo bado usambaratisha, watakusambaratisha baadaye.
Tunasambaratisha sahi kabla tusambaratishe.
Before watumalize.
Alright, naona recently ulitoa song I Give My Life to You ya English. Tuambie about the song kidogo tu.
I Give My Life to You nilipata last year. Na hiyo niliambia God nampatia maisha yangu. Nikajua bila Mungu mimi siwezi. So nikamwambia nampatia maisha yangu, nampatia kila kitu yangu. Ashughulike.
Take over.
Kwa
mafans. Sorry.
Maana unajua sasa faith. Hii maisha bila God sidhani kama ni tunaweza make sababu kuamka ni yeye. Asiposema utaamka. So ni vizuri watu wapeane maisha yao kwa Mungu. Maana kwa Mungu kuna raha.
Amen. Mtu akisikiza song yako pale nje ama ukirelease ngoma, huwa una hope itakuwa na impact gani kwa mwenye anasikiza?
Okay, kama nikiimba na kuanga na hopes za mwenye atafikiwa na hiyo wimbo. Kwanza kama alikuwa mgonjwa apone, kama alikuwa chini awe na kuinuka. Yani naimbanga nikijua hii wimbo inaweza kosa kutachua watu 10, itachua wawili. Na Mungu abadilishe maisha yao.
Wow, that's powerful. So it's about kubadilisha maisha ya mtu na kuminister. Ndio. Mafans uligusia ukasema kuna kitu inakuja. Hebu tuambie kijuju tu una drop nini lini?
Okay, kuna song iko bado hatujamalizana nayo. Na si song mbaya. Najua itabariki watu sana. Ni song ya worship. Na najua Mungu ataguza watu. Na ataubariki wengi. Atabadilisha wengi kupitia hiyo wimbo.
Ni ya English ama Kiswahili?
Ni ya Kiswahili.
Kwa hivyo watu wategee wapi? Unaweza tuambia mahali watakupata kwa social media? Utaangalia kamera?
Mimi niko YouTube channel yangu najiita Lauren Kiki. Na ukiingia pale utapata nyimbo zangu. Unaweza kosa kuguzwa na zote, uguzwe tu na moja. So make sure may like, may comment, na Mungu wa mbinguni atakubariki. Na pia usisahau kusubscribe. Ukisubscribe channel yangu, God atakubless sana.
So Lauren Kiki. Social media platforms. Alright, that's beautiful. Asante sana kwa kukuja hapa. Siwezi maliza bila kukuambia uache a message of hope, a message of encouragement kwa wenye wanatu watch na pia kwa mafans wako.
Okay, ningetaka kusema asante kwa Kirk TV. Mungu awabariki sana. Umenipea chance kubwa. Na ninashukuru kwa sababu umenishika mkono. Na kwa mafans ningetaka Mungu awabariki, muendelee kuwatch hapa, muendelee kubarikiwa na hii channel na Mungu atawabariki na atabadilisha maisha yenu. Na kama uko hapo haujui utafanya nini, umefika mwisho wako, ile kitu naweza kuambia, achana na kutegemea wanadamu, achia Mungu maisha yako. Yeye ndiye ako na neno lako la mwisho, yeye ndiye anaweza akakuinua, yeye ndiye anaweza akakutoa mahali huko na kila kitu yako itakuwa sawa. So na kuomba tu achie Mungu maisha yako na yeye atabadilisha maisha yako.
Wow.
Asante.
Wow, that's powerful. God pekee.
God pekee.
Ndio anaweza kubadilisha maisha. Si mtu mwingine. Kwa hivyo usitegemee binadamu.
Hapana.
Usitegemee
binadamu atakudisappoint.
Yeah. That's powerful. Asante sana Lauren Kiki kwa kufind time kukuja studio zetu kushare ngoma zako na sisi. Tunashukuru sana. Dear viewer, asante for tuning in. My name is Seth Kaulu. That is all we had for you. Na venye Lauren amesema, achia Mungu maisha yako. So tunamaliza na song yako, I give my all to you. You know, because we want to surrender everything to God. Yeah. I give my life to you by Lauren Kiki.